Dun 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 dun.
Hello, everyone, and you know what that music means. It is part 2 for action movies. Enjoy.
All right, hello everyone. This is Tony the Movie Guy, and this is part 2 of our extravaganza action movies with Shannon Barnes.
Hello.
And Juliet.
Hello.
See, so you get the female perspective. Okay, good. So, we're having a lot of fun. This is
Totally.
good.
Definitely.
Exactly what I was hoping for.
Okay, good. So I'm gonna go through some more of mine. Again, we'll just
Mm-hmm.
we'll go back and forth, and Juliet, you're gonna,
I'm gonna throw some at you.
Exactly. She's gonna school us
Yes.
on action movies apparently that we've left out completely.
Well, she knows her stuff.
Well, she does. She's a good girl. All right, good. So I'm going to start with one that I just watched again recently, which I love this movie. Again, a lot of these are 80s films. This is Red Dawn.
Yes.
Okay, that's Charlie Sheen, the Wolverines. Go Wolverines!
Wolverines!
Yeah. Patrick Swayze,
Yep.
of course, Jennifer Grey. A lot of people don't know that Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey starred in a film in the 80s called Red Dawn before Dirty Dancing.
Baby got put in the corner.
Exactly. See Thomas Howell's in this. Anyway, it's a great film. It's actually a really spooky film about, the Russians invading America.
And that
World
was
War III.
Possible reality at the time.
Especially at the time, the Cold War.
Yeah.
But it's also just a badass action film of these school kids basically just taking on. I mean, obviously it's totally
Defending their
unrealistic.
fucking town.
Living in the hills and taking on the whole Russian army or something. But it's action packed. This film is also famous for apparently having the most kills in it. It's got 1,000 kills in it.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Really?
But I love Red Dawn. You've seen it, right?
Absolutely. And
Great 80s film.
it perfectly fits in with my next one, which is Taps.
Oh my god, that's an action movie?
Yes, because they have that big
No.
fucking shootout and they defend the school and
Okay, you're wrong.
Sorry, babe, but
Drama.
no.
Okay, Taps. I
but
love.
a bunch of fucking kills and everybody dies. And
Well, hold on. Let's talk about it. So, Taps is a really old film with George C. Scott, Timothy Hutton,
Yeah.
Sean Penn, and Tom Cruise,
Mhm.
who's
Yes.
phenomenal. And if you watch the movie, it's very much a drama. It's kind of a war drama. It's got one action scene where George C. Scott accidentally kills and shoots this college kid who's harassing him,
Mhm.
and then right at the end, it's got that shootout.
the big shootout.
That's actually it.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Denied.
Yeah, denied.
Keep getting shut
I
down.
like
It's a
it.
great movie.
Yeah.
Great
I actually
movie.
love Taps. People
But-
need to watch it,
Drama, I think.
Yeah. It's definitely drama. You're so wrong with that, Shannon. I'm kidding. I'm just giving you a hard time. What else do you have then?
Okay, Boondock Saints.
Okay, that's on my list.
Yeah,
I love
of
it.
course.
Yeah.
I knew it would be.
Yeah.
So I'll let you get to it in its proper time. Then.
No, you talk about
Okay, Boondock Saints is everything that you want out of a fucking shoot 'em up movie, especially with the writing. Troy Duffy,
Right.
and again the charisma that those characters, those two actors,
Norman
bring.
Reedus,
Yes, Norman
Daryl
Reedus.
from The Walking Dead.
Fucking A, but that
And
movie
Sean
has,
Patrick Flannery is
Yeah.
the other guy. Yeah.
and of course
Billy
Connolly, fucking just amazing.
Yeah.
That movie just, and it's the perfect lightening of the mood with the comedic little things, and then and this intense fucking, and then of course there's fucking the detective.
Oh, William Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe.
He's so batshit crazy. It's great.
And just over the top. And there's that scene where he's lying in bed with a dude in his arms, and he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I just want to cuddle." He's like, "Fucking fag." That character is so fucking good, and
He dresses up as a woman at the
Yeah,
end.
and
He's
he's
like, kills the guy. It's like, okay, too far.
Too far. But when they first introduce him, and he puts his headphones on, and he's got the gloves, and
Yeah.
he's doing his forensics fucking
Yeah,
investigatory
so the
scene.
way the film is shot is it will show the aftermath
Mm-hmm.
of the action sequence. So these two guys are basically Irish American vigilantes,
Yeah.
and it shows the aftermath of Willem Dafoe's detective character investigating it, and then it does a flashback of how the action sequence went down, which was
and
really cool.
He's breaking it down in his head, kind of like Sherlock Holmes does, like RDJ does in the Sherlock Holmes movies, where except it's in reverse. Like
Robert
he
Downey
shows up.
Jr.
Yeah,
Yes.
RDJ, like best friends. Go on.
But in Sherlock Holmes, he plays it out in his head and then executes it. And here we're working backwards, where he shows up to the crime scene and then has to work back and figure out what the fuck happened.
Right. Oh, dude, and the cat. They shoot the cat.
Yeah.
And it splatters on the wall.
You have a thing about shooting animals.
And then she's like, "You shot my cat." He's like, "I'll fucking shoot you. Tell me the fucking cat's name." And she's like, "Ah."
That scene was actually funny, though. It was so ridiculous. It was actually really funny. Okay, yeah. Boondock Saints definitely counts. That's on my list, for sure. Okay, good. So I had to do one of the Bourne films. They did 3 of them with Matt Damon. Those are incredible action films.
That was on my list.
Yeah, Ultimatum. Okay, good. Supremacy. I'm actually going with the Bourne Identity, the first one.
The first one?
I'll tell you why. So when that came out, people were like, huh? Matt Damon?
Matt Damon?
Action movie?
Yeah.
It's based on a very famous book by Robert Ludlum. The second and third film, they got a lot of acclaim, and they were big hits when it became a really popular franchise. I've gone back and watched the first. I love the other two, don't get me wrong.
Absolutely.
I've gone back and watched the first one. The first one's great, and it has incredible action sequences where he's taking out the guy with just a pen.
Yeah.
When he goes down the staircase, like holding onto the guy and like falls down. It's pretty awesome. It's
It really
great
is.
action. So I love the first one, but the whole trilogy is fantastic. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And I knew it would be on your list, so I didn't put it on my list.
Okay.
Like, there's so many things that I knew, like, Tony's already going to have that one. Tony's already going to have that one.
That's okay.
So,
yeah, I'm Tony the movie guy.
yeah.
Something that I thought that was cool about that in the action scenes is there's like precision. It's something different
totally.
again, like the same way with the Matrix and other things. It's very
It's
exact.
unique, right?
It's unique.
Yeah.
There's something different than, I just beat up this guy. There's, he has like a moment where it's like a flash and he knows.
Clarity,
It's just a second. It's awesome. He was great in it.
It was great. I loved those.
Totally.
Okay, good. What else you got?
Love
Shannon?
those movies. This is one that you're going to have to give me, and
I might not.
No. The Dark Knight Returns animated movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's probably my favorite comic book of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And Frank Miller.
Yep.
And they did a 2-part animated adaptation, which is
With Robocop as the voice of Batman.
fucking fantastic. It's really good. Oh, Juliet's like, oh my god, you guys are such nerds.
I haven't seen that, and I'm proud to say that.
No,
like,
it's on our
nerds.
list when we get home. But
Sure, man. I'll give it. It's one of my favorite.
totally
comic books.
so good, because it is Batman punching fuckers in the face.
So good.
So good, like just evildoers. And like, as an old man, like the premise of the story is that this is years after Batman is in his prime. He's retired. He's an old man. Jim Gordon is on his way out.
Right.
He's
the
retired.
Joker is really
the
old.
Joker is locked up in Arkham,
incarcerated,
and he's been off the scene, and Gotham has forgotten the devastation that the big baddies brought to Gotham in their time. And
there's a female Robin who's phenomenal.
Yes!
I love that character.
Yes, and it's so 80s, and they have like
Juliet is shaking her head.
no, like Ronald Reagan as president,
That's
and
right.
we're still at war with Russia. Like the Cold War is still brewing and everything, and it's dated in that sense, but only because that's the time period that was there. Like whatever. So Batman is an old man now, and he decides to come back. It's time for Batman to come back. Superheroes are outlawed. Superman's the only one that's allowed to operate openly under direct orders of the president of the United States. So he's basically kind of become this big gun for hire.
Yeah.
And the rest of the superheroes are gone.
And it's one of the best depictions of Joker.
Yes.
Oh, Joker is insane.
He is nuts.
He actually kills Joker in the comic book.
Yeah. Well, no, Joker.
No, Joker kills himself.
Kills
He
himself.
cracks his neck.
Yes, because Batman will not bring himself. That's the
right.
line that he will not cross. But it is absolutely an action. It's animated, and it's phenomenally animated. And again, like I said, they had RoboCop.
Peter Weller
is the voice, and he does a great job.
Yeah.
He's so good. And of course, Kevin Conroy is the voice of Batman.
Yeah.
And Mark Hamill's the voice of the Joker, and they went with different guys because it's not part of that.
It's a totally
different storyline. It's way later, and they got great
Shannon,
actors.
I'll give it to you.
Okay.
The comic book mesmerized me. I bought the animated only a few years ago and watched it a few years ago, and I was like, holy shit, it's right. It jumps out of the comic book.
Absolutely.
They did it perfectly.
So right off there.
I'll totally give it to you.
Okay, good.
You okay? You happy?
Yes.
Okay.
I got one. Woo!
Okay. No, you got a lot. Okay, good. So I'm gonna do one here. So I actually do have a James Bond one, and actually it was a bit hard because really I should do several because there's also been many depictions of James Bond. But I did go with Skyfall just because it's such a good movie. Yeah. I wasn't a big fan of Daniel Craig initially as James Bond. I've gone back and seen Casino Royale, and I actually really enjoy it now. I thought he was too gruff and rough because, as you said, James Bond, Pierce Brosnan was kind of a great depiction. He's so suave and charming and charismatic, which Daniel Craig kind of wasn't. But I did fall in love with him, and by Skyfall, I loved that movie. Javier Bardem was a great baddie.
Creepy.
Judi Dench, and it does have incredible action sequences. And actually, when I go back, Casino Royale has some incredible action sequences now too. Yeah. So I'm giving a plug to James Bond because James Bond's got to be on a list of action movies.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Did you have a James Bond movie on there since we're talking about James Bond?
It was something from Pierce Brosnan. I mean, the scripts were not as good. I thought that the movies themselves with Daniel Craig were better than the Pierce Brosnan ones, but Pierce Brosnan just had insane charisma. He just was charm, and you wanted to sleep with him.
Well, we didn't, Shannon and I, but yes, Julia.
Daniel Craig is good. He was a little cold. Sorry.
She said that so diplomatically. We wanted to sleep with him. GoldenEye.
This is decades ago already.
GoldenEye was Pierce Brosnan's. GoldenEye was Pierce Brosnan's first one, his introduction, and that's actually a great movie. Yeah. But yeah, I had to go with Skyfall as kind of a mention for James Bond and action films.
Agreed. And I agree with you on, at first when Daniel Craig came out, I was like, I'm not quite sure because he was a little cold, but he delivered. I thought it was wonderful. And Judi Dench was amazing.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, really good.
All right, cool. What else you got?
That's the end of my list. Again, like I said, there was a lot of them that I just left off because I knew they were already be on your
So that's your list, Shannon. Okay.
I have a few.
Okay, yeah, because I have a few more. So what we're going to do is you're going to turn it over to Juliet. And then Juliet, you and I are going to spar.
Bring it
so
on.
You do one, I'll do one. Shannon, chip in anytime you want. Let's try not to be too mean to Juliet.
Especially because I have to go home with her.
There you go. That's a good point. Okay, good. So your turn, my dear. Ladies first. Go ahead.
I think the one of my favorite is Under Siege.
That's on my list.
Okay, good.
Steven Seagal.
First one's a winner. Love it. Classic, amazing. He's just so cool. Cool as a cucumber. And
now, I have to say something as a disclaimer, because unfortunately, Steven Seagal in his real life is known to be a real douchebag. And right now, he's right at the top on this whole, sex scandal, allegations of abuse. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to separate that. We're talking about a movie.
A film that was done with multiple crew members and cast members that were all
Tommy Lee Jones as the villain.
Gary Busey is batshit
crazy.
Yeah. Oh my God, we said the same
We
word.
high-fived each other. He really is, though. I love Under Siege. I would say it's Steven Seagal's only good film. And again, we're just talking about the movie. It's a great action film, and it's actually a good movie.
Totally awesome. I just love them. The craziness between Gary Busey and Tommy Lee Jones, just wild, woolly, just out there. And that kind of villain where you can have like a sicko who sees no wrong, and they just don't care, it's scary and exciting. And
Tommy Lee Jones and Steven Seagal have that crazy fight at the end with the knives.
Yeah.
It's going so fast, you can't even see it. Anyway, I highly approve of your girlfriend.
Thank
Good job.
you.
That's a great pick, Juliet.
Thank you, my first one. Okay,
what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, like, the fight scene, it's just, you don't even know how they choreograph that.
Right.
I mean, obviously, they're probably fake knives, but even still, must have taken tremendous work. I love it. I think it's great. Jumping out of the cake,
Great. Oh, Erica Eleniak. What happened to Erica Eleniak? She was so hot. She was from Baywatch.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
That's right.
Juliet remembers Erica Eleniak jumping out of the cake naked. I'm really impressed now.
I get double points, right?
You really do. You get triple points. Anyway, no, Under Siege, it holds up. I saw it a few months ago, and I was surprised how much I really enjoyed it. Because, I'm not a big fan of Steven Seagal, but I like that movie a lot. It's a great film.
And not too much CGI. It's real. Like, it doesn't get weird,
Yeah, it's really fun. Okay, good. So my turn. I actually do have Independence Day on the list.
Love it.
So look, it's a big science fiction movie, explosions, but I mean, it is non-stop action. It's great.
Action, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk a lot about that. I will say, which kind of saddens me a little bit because I love this film so much. I remember we watched it for 4th of July like a year or so ago, and it was a little cheesy. It hasn't held up in all ways, but it's still fun. Will Smith, very charismatic.
That the preview when that came out of
Oh,
like
it
the
was
White
huge.
House being fucking blown up, and you're just like,
That's
what
right.
the fuck?
It was one of the first movies where they blew up all the landmarks, and now they've copied it so many times.
Yeah.
I mean, the film was huge when it came out.
But it, like, again, at that time, like, it was the movie that introduced us to these big fuck off CGI scenes of like blowing up, and you wake up and there's a giant mothership hovering over LA.
So for that reason alone, it deserves a mention on action.
And Bill Pullman's speech. I'm sorry, but even when you hear that, you still get like
teary-eyed.
and I'm ready to fight. And, I mean, still, that was a great
They will
speech.
not take away our independence, even though I'm British. Didn't we take away your independence?
No, we beat you.
We beat you.
Did you beat us? Did you? Anyway.
Did you really, though?
Did you really? I think we just got bored and we went back to have tea. But I'm kidding. Independence Day is great. You've got Jeff Goldblum doing his best Jeff Goldblum.
Yes.
Bill Pullman as the president. And that's what made Will Smith like an official bona fide A-list star.
Judd Hirsch, come on.
He's great in that.
He's great
Yeah,
as his dad.
he's great.
Yeah.
And then, God, batshit crazy Randy Quaid,
Randy Quaid.
who went even more batshit crazy in real life. But he's actually great in that movie.
Yeah.
All right, what else you got?
Oh, God. I have to say, not that it's necessarily my favorite movie, but it has to be mentioned, is Rambo. I'm sorry.
It's on my list.
Yeah,
What are you
okay.
talking
First
about?
Blood.
Juliet, of
Well,
course.
I thought you guys had left it off.
No, I'm not done with
but
mine.
listen, like, my list ends because everything else is on his list.
So they've made 4 Rambo movies.
Yes.
Number 1. So I have Rambo First Blood. Okay. Actually, it wasn't even called Rambo. It was just called First Blood.
Right.
The one where he goes home after Vietnam and he just takes on the entire like police force.
Yeah.
That film is a really good movie. It actually really stands the test of time. I've seen it many times. Of course, Juliet, that counts. Rambo 2 is ridiculous, but I love it. I love it. Rambo 3, I don't remember so well. And then they did...
That's the one where the fucking Russian helicopter is
something like that,
something.
yeah. And then they did one called Rambo, which is like, I don't know, it's really old Sylvester Stallone. It came out like 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It was okay. I think it's just funny to me because that type of movie should have like a counter at the bottom of just the body count going 100, 200, 300,
That would
400.
probably make it more fun.
But it's just, I mean, they were great. It was fantastic.
But legitimately, First Blood is good. I think Sylvester Stallone is really good in it.
Yes,
when
he
he
is.
breaks down at the end, he has that nervous breakdown at the end of the movie, and his like commander or general comes and like hugs him and comforts him.
Yeah.
Because he tells that story of his friend who's like in pieces and he's holding him in the Vietnam War. It's actually a really good movie. Great pick.
Yeah, and I think also that's what's good about it is he really holds. I mean, the movie's him,
and
it's hard to take a movie like that and just have it be solely on your shoulders. So I think props to him.
That totally counts. That's a great choice. Okay, you got to have Roadhouse. The throat rip.
Yeah.
I used to fuck guys like you in prison. Patrick Swayze. To me, the Roadhouse is like the ultimate B movie. Have you seen that, Shannon?
I've seen it as a kid when it came out. My mom loved Patrick Swayze, so I saw
you gotta watch
all
it
of his
again.
movies. But I don't know. It wasn't my.
It didn't resonate particularly. Watch it again, though. I've watched it recently. It's so ridiculous. Sam Elliott's in it. He's great.
Wow, I love Sam Elliott.
Yeah. Anyway, Roadhouse has got to be mentioned. It's a great film. What else you got?
Well, I have, of course, one of my favorite is Speed. I know we mentioned
it's on my
Keanu
list.
Reeves, but incredible. I mean, again, there's a little bit of humor. He has incredible charm. It was Sandra Bullock's first real big movie.
Yeah, they're fantastic together.
Incredible. That bus scene of jumping. I mean, everyone in the theater was like clenching every muscle,
And
hoping that they didn't crash.
They actually did that.
I know.
A lot of people think that was CGI. They actually
jumped the
did
bus?
the
They jumped
jump.
the bus.
Yes.
It was like before. It was real stunts.
Yeah.
You know, and you could see it. And he's just hot. Sorry.
So look, no.
Sorry,
I totally agree. So Speed is a fantastic action movie. I think it's one of the best.
Jeff Daniels is great.
Jeff Daniels as his partner is great. Keanu Reeves. I think that made Keanu Reeves an official kind of star.
Oh yeah.
Sandra Bullock, that made her huge, and then Dennis Hopper is the bad guy.
Crazy.
He's
He was
really
great.
good.
It was kind of like no remorse.
Oh,
and
at
the
all.
scene in the subway, I'm sorry, that was so cool. Same
the
thing they
end,
did the stunt
yeah.
where it comes up out. awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, just love it.
Great pick. No, Speed is fantastic.
Okay, so then
Excellent.
Speed
excellent
2,
action
no.
movie. Oh, God, no.
Let's pretend it was never
Were
mentioned.
you going to say
Horrible.
Speed 2?
No.
Oh,
I was
thank
gonna
God.
say, because I didn't put it on my list, but if you're gonna the Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3,
Which one, the original or the remake?
both, either one of them.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
They're good.
Yeah,
It's a heist. It's a great
Yeah.
fucking heist movie.
that is a great
Okay.
movie.
Yeah.
Sure. Shannon, we don't need our approval. You can say whatever you want. No, I don't. Look, there's probably hundreds and hundreds of action movies. We could be here all day. So even my list is huge, and I try and keep the podcast to like an hour, and we were already doing double that with a two-parter. But you guys are special, so it's okay. You deserve it.
Well, thank you.
Speed 1, absolutely 100%. Okay, good. I have Lethal Weapon.
Yes,
Of course.
on my list.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Yeah, so just so you know, these are like traditional action movies I kind of left towards the end because as Shannon said, I wanted to talk about some that some people might not know about. So Lethal Weapon, again, they've done 4 of them, and I heard that they're now trying to bring back Danny Glover and Mel Gibson.
Oh, God.
Mel Gibson could actually do it. I don't know about Danny Glover. Nothing on him. I love him. He's really pushing on.
Yeah.
I love the first one.
Yes.
I tried to binge them all, and I got halfway through the second one. The first one's great. It's one of the original kind of buddy cop movies, but it's very gritty.
Mm-hmm.
Shane Black wrote those films.
Yep.
Do you guys know who Shane Black is? So Shane Black went on to direct Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. He directed Iron Man 3, The Nice Guys.
Yes.
He's become quite a big director. He wrote all the Lethal Weapon. Danny Glover. I'm too old for this shit.
Love it.
And then Mel Gibson, who's crazy.
Jet Li is in the fourth one.
He's in the fourth one.
Fourth one.
Fourth
Great.
one's actually quite fun.
Yeah.
Joe Pesci comes into the
Love
second
it.
or third one.
Yeah.
But the first one, I think, will stand the test of time as one of the great action movies. Would you agree?
Agreed. Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
excellent. All right, what you got?
I think for me, obviously, Mission Impossible.
So I had Ghost Protocol.
Yeah.
Which one would you go for? Because there's 4
God.
of them, right?
It's really
5.
hard. There's 5 of
5.
them now.
5 of them.
They are
Because you got Rogue
all
Nation.
obviously each plot and each twist, each movie has its own quirks, whatever. But the first one was incredible because I remember being in the theater and being shocked when he takes off the mask. Disclaimer:
Yeah.
it was just like, holy shit! How did
Yeah.
they do that? And this, whether it was CGI, whether it was a real mask, it was incredible for
Right.
people who hadn't seen the original TV show when it was on. It was quite a shock to see the twist revealed.
Right.
And John Voight was awesome.
Yeah,
As
he's
you
great.
know, he's great. I props to Tom Cruise for every single stunt, flying off of a plane, jumping off of that building. I mean, there's just no way to top that in terms of guts, I think.
Yeah.
Incredible
Yeah, so
incredible stunts.
The Mission Impossible films are quite interesting because the first one came out in the 90s. Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt, and that was a TV show, as you said. Yeah, and it was a huge hit. It's become quite iconic.
Yeah.
Brian De Palma directed the first one. I like the first one. It does have some good action. It's so twisty and turny, so it got very confusing to me.
I love that though.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I know.
You
You had to see it twice, and then you're like,
Yeah.
oh.
I felt it
But-
took away from it a bit, but it's good. The second one, when it came out, I loved at the time, which was directed by John Woo during his big John Woo-ness.
John
So
Woo
it's all
phase,
slow motion, flying doves. It doesn't hold up very well. Still got some great action. And then Mission Impossible 3, J.J. Abrams directed, and that's actually a really solid film. It's got Philip Seymour Hoffman as Owen Davian, the baddie. That's really good.
God,
Yeah.
and
Do you have a girlfriend? Do you have a wife?
I will
'Cause
find you.
I'll find her.
Mm.
I'm gonna hurt her.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna kill her in front of you.
Yeah.
He's
Then I'm
such a
gonna kill you. The way he says it so
Oh,
good.
so
he's
haunting.
So what I'm saying is these films, Mission Impossible, I think progressively got better and better.
Yeah, yeah.
Then they did Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, the fourth one, which catapulted it to, it was huge.
Leaps
It was a
and bounds.
massive success. And a lot of that did ride on his crazy stunt that he did on the
tower
the,
that's like 120
that huge
stories.
Yeah,
building in
that's right,
India.
That he's really doing
Yeah,
hanging from a
Tom
string.
Cruise
Middle
actually
East.
did that. Is it Middle East? I don't know. But anyway, it's the tallest building in the world.
It's
Yeah,
like Qatar or something, right?
Yeah. Something. Anyway, a lot of people don't believe he did that, and you can actually see behind the scenes videos
Yeah, yeah.
showing him actually doing
He's
it.
doing it, yeah.
He did it, and then you're right. He kind of had to top that in Rogue Nation, so then he hangs off the side of a plane.
Fucking plane and take off.
But aside from the stunts, the films themselves, I think, get better and better.
Yes.
The opera sequence.
Oh my god! I was just gonna say it's
in
my
Rogue
favorite
Nation?
scene.
Oh.
It was so beautifully choreographed
Yeah.
with the opera and the fight scene.
The
I actually
action.
looked up the opera to see
Right.
who it was because I was so
Yeah.
engrossed and it was amazing. That was an incredible scene.
So they get better and better. So it was kind of hard. I was kind of like Rogue Nation, or should I do the first one? But I went with Ghost Protocol because it just blew me away. It was
Yeah.
fantastic. And Tom Cruise does a great job as Ethan Hunt.
Yeah.
He's in such great shape. I guess he
Incredible.
can just keep going. We'll watch them.
He gets hotter by year.
Bird, the director.
Bird?
John Woo?
No.
Oh, Brad Bird.
Brad Bird.
Yeah,
Who
he
did
did
The
The Incredibles.
Incredibles.
Okay, that's on my list,
Yes,
you bastard.
yes.
So we're going to segue to that.
Yeah.
So I don't have many animated movies on the list at all, you've noticed.
Yeah.
I have The Incredibles on the
Incredibles,
list because The
absolutely.
Incredibles is an incredible action movie. It really is. It's so, I know you like my puns there. And no, it's got some phenomenal action
It really
sequences.
does.
Yeah, Brad Bird, who directed Ghost Protocol, directed The Incredibles.
Which
so definitely
Which
counts.
you can see his influence in, like when Simon Pegg's on the screen and he's looking in the camera and his.
Oh yeah,
I love that
See
shot.
Simon Pegg's introduction as Benji
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
third movie. He's so good. I love him in it. You know the story, right, with the Mission Impossible, because Jeremy Renner comes into Ghost Protocol.
Yeah.
So apparently he was supposed to take over the mantle.
Oh.
They were going to
That's
kill
what I
off
thought.
Ethan Hunt's, Tom Cruise's character. But Tom Cruise, even though he's pushing on, he's in his mid to late 50s. He's in such great shape, and he does all his stunts. So they were
Right.
like, screw it.
And Jeremy Renner truthfully doesn't have the same charisma. The same way that he did the Bourne movie, and it was like okay, and it was
okay.
good, but it was just not the same thing. I like Jeremy
Yeah,
Renner.
me
He's
too.
good
So
He
at
doesn't
what he
have that
does.
A-list
Nope.
status. He just doesn't.
There's
Yeah.
no sex appeal.
Yeah, he is good. I really
good.
like him. He's a
I
solid actor.
loved him in The Hurt Locker.
See, he was the star of that. He
Right.
was fantastic. That was also a tiny little indie movie.
Yeah,
but
he's
again,
great.
Yeah, I'm not trying to rag on Renner. He's fantastic. But I can't really imagine the Mission Impossible films working without Tom Cruise as
Yes.
Ethan Hunt.
Right.
I agree.
He makes it.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Need sex appeal.
All right, Juliet, we get
Sorry.
it. She's
She
hot.
wants to sleep with everybody but
I
me.
know.
Oh my God, thanks,
I'm
guys.
noticing that now. Okay, good. I'm gonna carry on. Okay, I had to put Taken on the list because
Yes.
that was such a surprise. Liam Neeson. Look, the other ones they've made, they've done 3 of them. They are terrible. That was a big surprise. That film. It was Luc Besson, who's a French director, and Liam Neeson up to that time was obviously known as like Oscar Schindler and a serious actor. They did this badass action movie. Now, the first time I saw it, I thought it was okay. It was good. I was kind of surprised. But then I saw it a few more times and I like it. I don't love that movie, but it's a good action film. And obviously, he's iconic. You know, I will find you. I will kill you. I have a certain set of skills, you know. So I've got to do a mention
Totally,
to Liam Neeson
totally.
in Taken. All right, go ahead, Julia.
How about 300?
It's on my list.
List.
I love her last list.
And it,
Yeah, that's on this list.
Just for the abs alone.
Oh God!
You know?
See, she's not going to talk about the action. She's
No.
going to talk about all the hot. What are they? Sicilians?
This-
No, they're
is
like Grecian
six-pack.
Roman.
This is 6-pack.
No,
No, we are Sparta. They're Spartans.
Spartans. I have to say, for just
Gerard
the
Butler.
yes, amazing, but the dedication, I would say, to perform those scenes, to look like that, to do that, because that is pure
It's
action. The movie, 24/7.
spectacular CGI and choreography.
Yeah,
yeah.
but they're really there doing that. And
You're just
yes,
talking
what would
about
you
the
like to
abs.
say, hun?
So that is Frank Miller, who's the guy that did The Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, he wrote the comic book. Zack Snyder directed the film, and that was kind of one of his big breakout movies, and it was Gerard Butler's big breakout. What a lot of people don't know is one of his right-hand man of the 300 is Michael Fassbender.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of his first big films.
And also one of the guys in that is in Lord of the Rings, the one with the red hair. I don't know what his name is, but
I know,
Yeah.
with the eye patch.
yes, he's
Yeah.
also great. They're
Yeah,
all
he's
really
fantastic.
great. And I know, just to speak on Gerard Butler and do a shout out, I love the movie Timeline. I know it's a little not exactly actiony.
Never seen it.
It's
What?
like a little, it's with Paul
What?
Walker. It's Paul Walker. It's got a little bit of traveling through time. It goes back to like ancient England, and that was Gerard Butler's real breakout film.
Oh, I have seen that movie
Okay.
with my mother.
It's good. It's entertaining.
I
It's
didn't
fun.
like it.
Oh, come on.
Come on now.
I
It has
remember
some action, but
It's a Michael Crichton book.
Yeah, I remember it.
I liked it. But Gerard Butler is, when he does that kind of stuff, he's great. And what was the movie? Olympus Has Fallen.
Yeah, that's on my
Yeah,
list.
yeah.
Yeah, he's
I
really
actually
great.
really enjoyed that film. It's so cheesy and stupid, but
Yeah.
it's really good fun.
Yeah.
And it came out when Jamie Foxx and Channing Tatum, who were big stars, did White House Down, which was terrible.
Oh, I liked it.
Oh, I didn't
Sorry.
like it, but
I liked both of them.
I love Olympus Has Fallen.
Yeah.
It's over the top, but it's really funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, what were we talking about? 300.
300.
Yeah, so
sorry.
look, I mean, 300 is fantastic. And I mean, Also, that had really special effects in terms of those slow motion fight sequences that sped up. I remember when we watched that, we kind of hadn't seen something like that before. Now they've replicated it a
Yeah, it was
million
very
times.
artistic, kind
Very.
of. It was
Yeah.
like a painting, almost watching it
Yeah.
slow-mo. I
Yeah,
thought they
anyway,
did it unique.
300 is awesome. That was definitely on my list. I love that film. Okay, I can't believe it took this long to say it. I mentioned T2. I never said The Terminator.
The Terminator.
So obviously The Terminator counts. I mean, that's Arnold
Fuck,
Schwarzenegger, and it's just a relentless action movie. That movie holds up. I love it. And that's... Oh, you know what I didn't mention about... Yeah, you know what I didn't mention about T2 is Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor. She's such a badass, you know,
fucking good.
like, you know, feminine hero. So she's awesome in that.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Julia.
I have to say, I mean, we have to do some sort of shout out to Jean-Claude Van Damme.
I have him on the list.
Okay.
Which one did you pick?
I always liked Double Impact.
Oh,
and maybe,
God.
I'm sorry, I know it's cheesy
That's
and
the
horrible.
worst one.
I know it is.
Actually, no, The Quest is the worst one.
I know it's cheesy and horrible,
Juliet.
but I love it because I like the fact that he got to play two sides of himself and he had a really sleazy dirtbag side. I know.
Jean-Claude Van Damme can't act. Why do you want to see two Jean-Claude Van Dammes acting?
None of them could act. You know, Chuck Norris could. None of them. Nobody can act. Shut up. They're just...
Shannon is losing it. All right, back up a bit.
This is why they're action stars, because they
my
can't act. I'm sorry. I'm going to stand my ground. That is the one that I like.
Okay, I will give it to you. So we, of course, we have to mention Jean-Claude Van Damme. Shannon?
What's his name? Jeffrey Lewis is in it. He was really good.
Are you serious?
Yes. I'm sorry. I
Look, I don't remember Double Impact too much, and I saw all the Van Damme movies. I love Van Damme. I do. I love Van Damme. Bloodsport is fantastic, and that really stands the test of time. I actually watched it a few months ago, and it's actually good. And then I watched Kickboxer. It was a bit cheesy.
Yes.
Lionheart, I happen to really love. Okay. Double Impact, not so much. Time Cop is good as well, but
Time Cop is great.
I
love
that
Time
one.
Cop.
But look, I'm going to say
Splits.
Yeah,
Holy
of
shit.
course. But I'm going to say Bloodsport as an action movie, that really introduced the world to Van Damme in a big way.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of the one that should be encapsulated as a great action film.
No, what I was laughing about, like, the subject is action movies, not acting movies. So
No.
it's all action.
Hey,
no
we said
acting.
we were going to be nice to her. Remember that?
That's what I'm saying. She's totally correct. It is an action movie. It's not
She
an
gets
acting movie.
major kudos for picking a Van Damme movie. I'm just quite amused that she picked Double Impact.
I liked it, but Time Cop is wonderful.
It's good.
Mean, you know, sometimes you like cheese, and you're
Absolutely.
allowed to like what you like.
Absolutely, and we're giving it to you. So I was highlighting Bloodsport because I think that's a great
It is
Van Damme
great.
movie.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So your turn.
It was your turn.
Oh, it was. Oh,
I
that's
did
right.
Van
You
Damme.
stole it from me. Damn
That's
you.
right.
I know. Okay, Aliens.
Yes.
So okay, good. So Alien, Ridley Scott. Alien is straight up horror. That's a spooky film. It's quite slow at times. Aliens, you know, Bill Paxton. Game over, man. Game over.
Let's put her in charge.
Yeah, it's so good. And then also the concept of just hundreds of aliens, xenomorphs, like just running at you. And it's a great movie. You got little Newt and Michael Biehn was great in it. Yeah, and then Sigourney Weaver's Ripley. She is so badass.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I love Aliens. Alien, I've seen a few times. Aliens is the one that I go back to. It's James Cameron directed it, and again, it's like Terminator. It's one of those few sequels, both directed by James Cameron, coincidentally, that are better than the originals, in my opinion. Would you agree?
Yes, that man has made so much money, James Cameron.
God,
I mean,
that's why he's spending the next 20 years making
Avatar
sequels. No, apparently he's making 5 of them. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
And there's an Avatar world coming around.
Well, the theme park already opened in Florida. Disney,
it's already open?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that movie. The first Avatar movie was great.
Good.
It was great.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I want to see 15 of them.
No, I don't know. But the truth is, he can do whatever he wants.
And I may fucking eat those words later on when the movie comes out and be like, holy shit, give me 19 more of these movies.
Yeah, who thought there'd be that many Star Wars?
Look, I think James Cameron honestly has a whole pass for life.
Yes,
he does.
does.
I mean, he's only made like 9 movies, but Titanic,
They're all billionaires.
Avatar, the 2 highest grossing films of all time, and then also just great movies: Terminator, True Lies, T2. Anyway, we're going on the whole Cameron
Love
tangent.
True Lies. Sorry.
Yeah, great. Okay, good. So next.
Okay, this one you probably won't give to me, but I like it. I think of it as an action. I guess it's a little sci-fi, little adventure. I love Jurassic Park.
Oh, okay.
The original Jurassic Park is awesome.
Yeah, I'm not giving it to you. It's not an action movie. It's science fiction,
It's
fantasy.
science fiction. It is science It's fictional.
Okay, let's let Juliet
She's going to defend
stand her
herself.
ground. Go ahead and defend yourself.
You know, in other action movies, you're fighting bad guys. I'm sorry, but in this movie, you're fighting dinosaurs, and they are the bad guys. That is the character. Now, maybe sci-fi, but in Aliens, you're fighting aliens. I'm sorry, there are fight scenes. You have Jeff Goldblum. I mean, I'm sorry, but that was...
She just likes Jeff Goldblum.
really
Shirtless. That's what I got it for. Okay,
I
no,
don't wanna
you
see
make
that.
it. No, you actually make a good point when you compared it to Aliens.
Yeah.
But Aliens also has like soldiers, guns, fighting. You know, so I guess that's why I think action. But it's a good point. It's a good point. It's all action with dinosaurs. It's got some incredibly intense sequences. So I'll give it to you.
It's on the line,
yeah.
but the intensity, the excitement, it is definitely not it's not a rom-com, it's not a drama. There's definitely excitement, action, adventure
Yeah,
going
I mean,
on
you
in that
don't
the
have
whole
to
time.
defend the movie. I mean, Jurassic Park is one of the most classic films of all time, Spielberg, but I never thought of it as just an action movie. To me, that kind of really does go in its own class as science fiction fantasy. I'm going to give it to you because you're a nice lady.
Thank you so much.
All right, Jurassic Park. If you haven't seen Jurassic Park, watch it. No, everyone.
You're a loser if you haven't seen it.
Spoiler alert,
Everyone's
there's dinosaurs.
everyone's seen it. All right. Okay, good. Let's see. Robocop. Another 80s classic. Okay,
good.
so that's Peter Weller.
Yeah.
Robocop is fantastic. And again, talk about a film that stands the test of time. When I think of this in my mind, I realize how crazy I am because I watched that again 2 months ago.
Same.
I rewatch movies all the time, more than I see new movies because they make so much shit these days.
They really do.
It's unfortunate, but it's true. Robocop is awesome. And then they remade it. And the remake actually wasn't terrible, but it was just pointless. And what was interesting is with all this glamorous special effects, the original was way better.
So much better.
Way better. Anyway, Robocop's badass. I think we all agree with that. right?
Absolutely. I rewatched it again just a few months ago while you were out in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And it was so good. I like it. It was almost like I was right back as a kid watching the movie again, and there was no time between when I just watched it. It was just a really good movie, all there, all by itself.
Yeah, I love it.
And the concept was great. The whole, I mean, there obviously the special effects with the
Ed 209.
Yeah, Ed 209 was like, wow,
So cheesy.
But still, and you know, as an adult, you can find plot holes in it and you can poke fun at it, but it's just.
You know what's crazy about RoboCop as well is, again, I watched that movie when I was like 10. That movie is hyper violent.
Yes, it is.
I'm like,
and
what
again,
was I doing?
And
I
again,
know it had
as
comic books. I mean, as kids loved that movie.
Yeah, I know.
What were you going to say?
No, I was just say again. In 5 years from now, Detroit is going to be a fucking war zone. Like, so that's what, as a kid, I was one of those kids that easily accepted everything. I was very gullible, and I didn't really understand that, like, they were feeding me just straight fictional stuff. I was kind of like, okay, these are adults that are trying to prep me for the future.
Always prepared.
I know. Anyway, RoboCop.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a classic 80s film, and it's a great action movie. Okay, go ahead, Juliet.
I have to say, obviously, Harrison Ford, awesome in most things he does. I loved him in Clear and Present Danger as Jack Ryan.
Oh, Jack Ryan. Yeah, you're right. One of those should get a mention.
Yeah, I mean, he did a bunch of those. He did Air Force One. He did quite a few, but he just has this sort of tenacity and this, you know, this sort of righteous, you can't do something bad, I'm not going to let you get away with it type thing, this guts. And he has that in Star Wars too. Mm-hmm. And I just love that about him.
So you preferred that over Patriot Games?
For me, yes. I know Patriot Games.
He did those two as Jack Ryan. Yeah. And then, honestly, if I would do an action... Well, I already gave him Raiders of the Lost Ark. Right. If I would do an action movie, it would probably be Air Force One, because that's so fun.
Get off my plane.
Yeah, and Gary Oldman is the bad guy. And then also Ben Affleck did Sum of All Fears. That's quite good. Same playing Jack Ryan. And then Alec Baldwin did Hunt for the Red October, which is actually quite slow.
Yeah, that's more of a drama.
So you're giving Clear and Present Danger.
I love that. That's when he goes down. He's with the cartel and the whole thing, and he's traveling through the jungle. I thought he was great, and just this, he has a ferocity about him. It's really quiet, but he just like this. He's a Boy Scout. I love it.
I forgot to write it down, but
which one?
Man on Fire.
Oh, with Denzel?
Yeah.
It's a great film. I don't know if it's one of the best action movies. What I love the most about that is the relationship with him and Dakota Fanning, the girl. And then I'm spoiling at the twist that you find out she's actually alive at the end, which is heartbreaking. And then he basically gives his life for her.
Totally.
You know?
But sort of like Leon.
Yeah.
You're talking about the tenacity and like he just fucking will not
brutal.
give up. Yeah.
Denzel, we don't even need to say a movie. Denzel is incredible.
Yeah, he's great. Okay, we're going on a tangent. All right, good. So let's see what else I have here. Okay, Commando.
Yes.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
Have you seen it, Julia?
Yeah.
I love
Okay,
look.
come on.
No. Commando
I love Arnold.
is so ridiculous.
It really
and cheesy.
is.
I mean, he's literally got like 2 bazookas on both arms, and he's just like flipping off grenades left, right, and center. He's like, stick around, and he throws the axe on the guy, and then he drops the guy over the cliff. He's like, where is he? I let him go, But I love it. I love it. I probably watched it way too young. I've seen it again. It's one of those cheesy 80s movies, but it's a great action film that stands the test of time.
Just a quick segue. That guy who wrote it also wrote Teen Wolf, and he's now over at Warner Brothers taking the helm on DC, the DC hero movies.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Anyway, Commando's great, so I had to plug that. What else you got?
All right, I'm going to call this action. I will fight you tooth and nail. Willow.
Oh, God. It's not.
There's literally battle scenes. I know it's fantasy, understood, but
How can an action movie about like a 3-foot like little person be
That's called The Hobbit.
Oh my God. Okay.
I
Juliet,
love-
you're wrong.
Mad Mardigan.
Mad Mardigan.
I love you dearly. Okay, Val Kilmer as Mad Mardigan was badass.
Yes.
Okay,
I
badass
like that.
fighting scene.
Just so you know, I love Willow. Willow is, I think, a George Lucas and Ron Howard movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I can't remember the name of the Warwick Davis.
Yes.
You know,
He's in Harry Potter.
Yeah, and he plays Wicket in the Return of the Jedi.
Yeah,
he's
but
one of the Ewoks.
Yeah.
Anyway, and Val Kilmer as Mad Mardigan's great. And I remember I read the book and I loved the film, and that film is so cheesy and has not held up well, but I still
Yes,
like it.
has.
But
love
it's
that
a
movie.
science fiction. No, it's a
It's a
fantasy.
fantasy.
It's 100% fantasy. It's
But
not an
same,
action
in the
movie.
same way that you get to put the Return of the King on there as a fantasy movie.
But it's got some of the most glorious
That's
action
true.
battle sequences you have ever seen.
But
does Willow?
Willow has some great swordplay in it.
Name an excellent battle or action sequence.
The wagon chase when
Yes.
God. See, I've seen Willow like 5 or 6 times, and I just don't remember a specific action sequence. I remember Val Kilmer as Mad Mardigan. I loved his character, and I do remember Warwick Davis as Willow.
Okay. So just like your James Bond thing, where they're going down the ski
See,
slope.
you're already breaking down.
Come on. No, there's the great scene where they're in the snow and they take the sleigh ride down.
Yeah.
They end up in the village and they're fighting all the dudes.
Okay, since you guys are the guests, I'm going to give you Willow.
Thank you.
It's not an action movie.
It is
Okay.
a fantasy movie, but it has
It's a
some
fantasy
great
movie
action
with great
in it.
action.
I love it, yeah. But nearly every movie has some aspect of action.
True.
That's true.
It's okay. I'm going to
Okay.
give it to you two, but it's not an action. All right, here we go. It's fine.
Help, I'm being threatened by a peck with an acorn.
And I love Willow. I don't want to knock Willow. Okay, I'm moving on. One of Tom Cruise's best films in the last decade, which surprised a lot of people because it got screwed up with its marketing of the name, was Edge of Tomorrow.
Yes.
That is a fantastic action movie, and it kind of got redubbed as Live, Die, Repeat.
Right.
Yeah.
And just like Leon, like it got released and then they came out with a name because the poster said Live, Die, Repeat.
Edge of
and
Tomorrow.
in fucking tiny, like small
Yeah.
print at the bottom, like Edge of Tomorrow. So nobody knew, like,
Yeah.
we were looking for Live, Die, Repeat to be on the marquee, and it never showed up on the marquee.
That is a great action film.
Yes.
I love that movie. Have you seen it, Julia?
Yes, of
Yeah.
course.
Non-stop.
I love Emily Blunt. She's badass.
Yeah, she's
also.
another badass heroine. Yeah, so
Yeah.
It's kind of science fiction, but it's a great action film.
Yeah, there's not a lot of movies that sort of promote, women being badasses in action flicks.
We've named a lot of them.
Yeah, yeah, but there's not that many.
No, you're
on
right.
the list, and so
Yeah, but you've got Furiosa, you've got Ripley, you've got Sarah Connor, so there's definitely a lot of them, and she's great in this as well. I don't remember her name in Edge of Tomorrow, but
Yeah, I know.
Emily Blunt's character is fantastic.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Well, I'm on my list, which you
Don't be
you
nervous,
probably
it's
won't,
okay.
You probably won't give it to me, but I really liked World War Z actually with Brad Pitt. Too zombie.
Oh,
Too
number
much-
one, it's a zombie movie.
All right.
I didn't like that film very much.
Really, I loved the end. Oh,
it
that's
had
too
a
much of
lot
spoiler.
of production troubles. You know who wrote that book? Duncan Jones. Do you know who that is? It's David Bowie's son.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I really dug it. I thought the twist was awesome at the end.
I didn't.
The zombies to me were really scary, like in its
But
constant
they're
battle.
not zombies
All
because
right, I
they
guess
go
it's
so
zombies.
fast. I saw it in the theater and it was okay, and then I rewatched it. But it's kind of, you could say 28 Days Later, Dawn of the Dead,
Yeah.
etc. So it's a zombie movie.
Okay, I'll
It's
give you that.
Julia. I still like you. All right, let's see what else I've got. Desperado. Okay, now I have to give a disclaimer. I tried to watch it recently. It doesn't hold up well. So now I'm kind of conflicted. I loved Desperado with Antonio Banderas when it came out in the 90s. It was such a ridiculous, over-the-top action movie. And oh my God, Salma Hayek.
Yes.
That was the introduction of the world to Salma Hayek. And look, since you're talking about men,
Nice,
we
totally.
get
I
to
know.
talk about women. She was so hot in that movie.
You just like her boobs.
I love her. Oh, I loved her boobs. Anyway,
Her
come on,
boobs
I'm
are
a married
glorious.
man. Yeah. But no, I mean, that was a great film. It was really fun, and I loved that movie for years. It was one of my favorite action movies. I was really disappointed a couple months ago when I tried to watch it, and I just got bored because some films it's okay, but they just don't hold up.
Yeah.
They don't stand the test of time, and unfortunately, that doesn't as much. But I do think it still deserves a mention as a great action film.
It is a great film, and just a plug for Mexico because we're in the Trump era. Go down to Acuña, Mexico, to the Corona bar where they shot the big fucking final battle scene
In
the Corona
Desperado?
bar.
Oh, sweet.
In the Corona bar in Acuña, Mexico, the Coronas taste better magically in that bar, and then right outside there's a little taco stand.
And the tacos are
And
delicious.
the tacos are the best fucking
Wow.
tacos.
Don't
in
they
the
say
world.
their beer tastes like piss in that bar in the movie? Quentin Tarantino shows up in that film
Yeah.
because it's directed by Robert Rodriguez
Yes.
and they're friends.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Julia?
I was going to say, just to piggyback, because I like it and I think it's action. I know it's borderline adventure, but I really do love Zorro.
The Mask of
Yeah,
Zorro with
Absolutely.
Antonio
And also they
Banderas,
introduced
yeah.
Catherine Zeta-Jones in there, who's also,
True.
again, beautiful, stunning.
Yeah.
He really seemed to,
I actually enjoyed that. I don't know why I didn't think of it as action. It is. It's an action adventure. The first one was quite good. It
Yeah,
hasn't
the
really
the
stood
second
the test
one-
of
Anthony
time.
Hopkins is
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's kind of a little bit different because all the action movies we've named, most of them, they're all guns and shooting and
Right.
futuristic.
Swordplay.
And this is sort of a little bit more classic, old school, but he's amazing. And there's not as many, people on the list that you could name of sort of different descent. And Antonio Banderas is awesome in this, I think.
And Catherine Zeta-Jones
Is
was
beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Yes.
Mask of Zorro, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, girls wanted to be her. She was just like, it was like you drew her on the screen. She was perfect.
Yeah, she's beautiful. Okay, good. Let's see what else I've got here. Oh, okay, I had to mention Deadpool.
Of course.
Deadpool was such a phenomenal film in its own right in terms of comedy, the risk it took, how tongue-in-cheek it was, but the action is spectacular. So even though I had some of the other Marvel ones, I wanted to mention Deadpool because I
Absolutely.
love that movie.
Absolutely.
Would you agree?
Yes.
All right, do you have anything else? I'm winding down, Julia.
I'm winding down. I only have two more, and that they're really well, you probably won't like two
It's
of them.
okay,
But
give me one.
one of them, total cheese, but I really do love it, is Demolition Man.
Okay. High five.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I love Demolition
I love
Man.
it. They're-
I'm actually
Have a
shocked
joy
and
day.
disgraced at myself that I haven't put it on this list. Let's go blow this guy. It's blow this guy away. Sandra Bullock is in that as well.
Yes, that was her big
Yeah.
big movie.
And
that
then that's
Benjamin Bratt's in it.
Benjamin Bratt. And it's Wesley Snipes
Yep.
and Sylvester Stallone
Yes.
and Dennis Leary.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I love Demolition
Loved it.
Man. Love it. And it
Cheese-
is a great action film.
Yeah, and you sort of know, when you watch it, you know what you're getting into. It's a little hokey, like with some of the futuristic movies. They're just, they're a little out there. There's no way, like with Back to the Future, we're not gonna have flying cars. But so some of the stuff is a little too futuristic, but I love it. And their chemistry and Stallone's Mr. Badass and Wesley Snipes is just, like the Joker almost just giggling away.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I love it, and I love that you love it. It definitely counts. Cliffhanger actually is another great action
Yes.
film with Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. Go on,
Again,
Shannon.
sorry, I forgot to put it on my list. I thought about it when we were at Barnes and Noble the other day. Daylight.
Daylight with
Daylight.
Sylvester Stallone?
Yes.
That killed his career.
I don't care.
Do you like that movie?
As a rescuer,
He's too nice.
No,
Shannon
no,
loves
no.
some of the weirdest crap.
as a rescuer, there were a lot of things
I
in
see
that
how
movie.
you can relate to
Yes,
that.
there were a lot of things in that movie where you're like, "Oh, that's brilliant."
Now I feel like a douchebag. I take it back.
ass.
No, because you're right. Because it's about a bunch of people who get stuck in like a
In a
trapped
tunnel.
in a
Yeah.
tunnel,
Holland
and
Tunnel
he's
in New York.
yeah.
he's
So that totally would
yeah.
relate to you.
Yeah.
so,
Okay. I hated that movie.
Okay.
Sorry.
And so did the rest of the world, apparently.
Okay. I think I only have one more. I had to mention at least one Tarantino film,
Yes.
which was Kill Bill.
Yes.
Yes.
So the others aren't really action. Kill Bill is so ridiculously over the top, especially when you've got that scene with Uma Thurman taking on, like, I don't remember the name of the clan. There's
yeah,
like 500 of them. And it literally has to fade to black and white because he used so much blood.
Right.
Yes.
It was so ridiculous, and so much like arms and legs and heads being popped off. But the action is glorious.
Yeah, he needs like the same thing like in Rambo, a counter to show the body count, just going 1, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000,
It would
4,000.
break. The clock would
break.
break. Yeah. I think that's pretty much my list. So what else did you have, Juliet?
The last one that I have, just to bring it full circle, I guess, maybe cheesy, maybe not, but you have the classic guys in the 80s, and it would be, Die Hard, start with Die Hard. So you go to Bruce Willis. I love Red. I think
Red is a great
Red
film.
is just like the perfect, I don't know what it is, a perfect
John
combination.
Malkovich.
Incredible. Batshit
Helen
crazy.
Mirren.
Incredible. But I love that there's like sort of an homage to, they're quote old timers, but they still have got their shit together. They're still amazing. They still captivate you on the screen. Bruce Willis is as awesome as he was in Die Hard 1 as he is in Red. Just like, and what's her name from Fried Green Tomatoes? Not Mary Stuart Masterson.
She's from Weeds.
Yes.
Well, I don't
Love
remember her name. I'm sorry. She's great in it.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
And
I really enjoyed Red. It surprised me because I thought it was going to be really cheesy.
Yeah.
And I saw it in the theater. I was like, that was pretty good.
yeah, I loved it. And
Red 2 was good as well.
I don't remember that one.
more body count.
It's a good pick.
Yeah.
What's the other one you have?
That was my other
Oh,
one.
that was it?
Yeah.
That was the
Wow, so that's the end of the list. Okay, good. So I was going to mention one thing is I hate the Fast and Furious movies, so that's why I don't have any of them on here. I think they're ridiculous. The first one was okay. And then also I have to mention, because there's some films that I consider some of the best action movies, The Wild Bunch by Sam Peckinpah, but I haven't seen it. And then also John Woo has some of his very early films like Hard Boiled,
Right.
but I haven't watched them. So I couldn't put them on the list. And then also Seven Samurai is considered one of the most
so
classic. I haven't seen it, and Magnificent Seven's okay.
Yeah.
But that's why I didn't mention them on here, just for listeners who might be outraged, like, you didn't mention those. But we covered a lot.
Yeah.
And that was fun, guys.
That was
was
fun.
fun.
That was great.
Julia, I'm impressed. You that was a great list. You did very well.
Thank you.
Shannon, you're adorable. He's so funny. He must be a real handful. Well, I know he is.
No comment.
Okay. Anyway, look, I really appreciate you guys doing the podcast with me. That was great. This is going to be like a very special two-parter. So is there anything else you wanted to say before we end the episode?
It was
I
loads
love-
of fun. We had a great time.
Yes.
You opened our eyes to some movies that we haven't heard of that
There
we
you
should
go.
see.
As you're supposed to. Like,
That's my goal.
That's what we expect from
Yeah.
Tony.
Yes.
Like,
It was a good debate.
Yeah, excellent. It was a good debate, and we kept it civil as well.
Yeah.
So, look, thanks so much for listening to this
Thank you.
episode of Tony the Movie Guy. And yeah, please, listen, subscribe, download, share with your friends and family, rate the podcast because that really helps. You guys will help me pass it on to everyone else, and most of all, enjoy it, and yeah, use it to make lists and actually broaden your knowledge. So, Shannon, thank you so much. You're awesome. Juliet, thank you.
Thank you.
And good night, guys.
Thanks so much for listening to another new episode of Tony the Movie Guy, the podcast. Quick reminders to remember to follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Tony the Movie Guy. Also, don't forget to email us in if you have questions, suggestions. If you want to just write us an email, that works too. Tony the Movie Guy podcast at gmail.com. And last and most importantly, your favorite announcement. Don't forget to rate and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or iTunes. It's really helpful. Again, it helps us get out to more people, which is our goal. We just want to keep doing what we like. So until next week, bye-bye.